Sorry, allergies are really bad today. Like I said, today we're going to be talking about the connection between stress, hormones, belly fat, all of those big changes that happen, especially during menopause, but most importantly, provide you with practical strategies for that. So, like I said, I am Coach Alisha, and if you've ever felt like you're doing everything right, eating clean, exercising, doing the morning routines, the evening routines, walk, everything, but your belly fat just won't budge, you're not alone. Today, we're going to be breaking down how stress hormones impact fat storage, why this is especially tricky during menopause, and then the simple things that you can do to finally see change. Again, this is probably one of the areas that we as coaches hear the most frustration from our premenopausal, postmenopausal, in the thick of it menopausal clients. And we really want to be able to offer you some suggestions and help for it. So before we dive in, let me know in the chat, what is one thing that stresses you out the most right now? Work, kids, sleep, finances, how terrible traffic is, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how silly it seems. I want to hear what's the one thing that's stressing you out the most right now. Perhaps we can work through it together and offer some real life kind of strategies for you as we go through this lecture together. So here's the deal. When we're younger, estrogen acts like a buffer for fat distribution. It really helps to keep fat stored in our hips and thighs rather than in our midsection. We all know that everybody kind of has a different shape to their body. Some people have like the apple shape, some have like the hourglass shape, some are more triangle focused, and some are what we call pear shaped. This all pretty much depends on your fat distribution. That is something that is genetic. It just, you also probably know you build muscle really easily in some places and then gain weight, body fat easily in other places. Now, as we go through perimenopause and menopause, your estrogen drops, so that protectiveness essentially goes away. Suddenly, your body starts redistributing fat towards your belly, creating more visceral fat. So visceral fat is kind of the fat that sort of surrounds our organs. It's like our protective layer in there. It's the very deep belly fat. Like I said, surrounds your organs. It's not kind of the fat that sits on top of your muscle. It's the deep visceral fat. Any of you that struggle with any type of diabetes, you've probably heard your doctor tell you many, many times, we need to get your visceral fat down. But it's not just about the scale. It's about really what's happening on the inside. So even if you're the same weight as you were in your 30s, you might notice your waistline growing. And that can be really frustrating. And this is why so many women come to us and they say, I didn't change anything, but my body changed anyways. And they're really, really frustrated. Menopause plus stress equals the perfect storm for belly fat. Let me give you a real life example. Let me tell you about one of my clients. And honestly, this client could also be used probably for tons of other clients that myself and all of the other coaches have worked with. So we'll call her Sarah. Sarah ate well. She walked daily. She did yoga. She had a super stressful job, rarely slept more than 5 hours, and was always on. This may resonate with either yourself or somebody that is very close to you or that you know. Just kind of the everyday woman, female, kind of in the working world right now. Her workouts were really intense. She was eating about 1,200 calories, but the belly fat wouldn't move at all. You can imagine how a high functioning, kind of highly successful person would see this as almost sort of like a failure to themselves. Now, one of the things that we did at first was we really didn't touch her calories. Yes, 1,200 calories is very, very low. We will get to that. But I really wanted to start with some very small, tangible things that we could attack in the beginning to help her change. So instead, we added 10 minutes of breathing before bed. We got her lifting weights instead of overdoing cardio. The great news on that is it cut her workout time in half during the week, so she had more time for her kids and not having to feel like she was just rushing from thing to thing to thing. We also really focus on her sleep hygiene. I know that everybody kind of has their morning routine. They wake up, they have their coffee, maybe they do a devotion, maybe they do some stretches, they take the dogs out, et cetera, et cetera. But how many of us have a nighttime routine as well? chances are it's probably that we just shut the TV off, brush our teeth, and then hop in to bed. That can really affect our sleep hygiene. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go. But focusing just on those three things, within weeks, her measurements started dropping because her cortisol finally calmed down. Sometimes it's not about working harder, which is kind of probably the thought that most of us have. It's about working smarter. One of the common themes that you're going to hear me talking about throughout this whole entire sort of lecture here is that we really want to get our body to work with us instead of against us. So let's kind of talk about the science of how stress affects storage, but keep it really simple. Okay. So here's what happens with stress. Your brain alarm sees something as a threat, even if it's just a work email. I know, kind of seems silly if you told our ancestors, 4 generations ago that we would get stressed about a work email, but such is the life that we live in. So we see that threat. Oh my goodness, my boss just emailed me, like, what do they want now? Our cortisol spikes from there. Our cortisol tells your body to release sugar into the bloodstream for quick energy. Kind of, you get that quick little like fight or flight response or so. This in turn stimulates an insulin response. Insulin stores that sugar for later use, but if you're not burning it off, it's going to get stored as fat. This is what happens to have a belly fat magnet, essentially. The visceral fat cells, remember that visceral fat is the fat that surrounds your organs. They have more cortisol receptors, so that fat just keeps building and building and building around your midsection. Now, if you kind of think logically about things, all of your organs are in your trunk, the majority of them in your midsection. So if that visceral fat continues to grow and grow and grow, obviously what grows? Your midsection there. So what happens over time? This leads to higher cravings for sugar and carbs. All of us have been there. Super stressful day. Our cortisol levels are skyrocketing and we just want to reach for junk food. We're like, I need that soda pick me up. I need that candy pick me up. I'm going to stop and get a coffee on the way home, whatever it is. We have higher cravings for sugar and carbs because that cortisol response is saying that we need sugar, we need sugar, we need sugar. We're also going to have more muscle breakdown, which is really bad because we know that muscle is the really, really great calorie burning tissue in our body. The more muscle we have, the better our hormones, the better our metabolism, also the better insulin sensitivity we have. What does that all correlate to as well? A slower metabolism. So you can see that it's kind of a really vicious cycle here. More stress, more cortisol, more belly fat, more frustration, even more stress, leading to more cortisol, more belly fat, more frustration. So it just goes in like this circle, constantly, constantly, constantly. And until we really sort of break that pattern in there somewhere, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. Now, one of the things I really want you to remember is don't compare your stress to someone else's stress. Perhaps you're sitting here and you're like, yeah, but I'm 65, I'm retired, like I've got my dog to worry about, my workouts, things like that. There's probably some stress in there somewhere. You can't think to yourself that, your friend who's 45 years old is a, CEO of a company, has got 3 kids, kind of always running whatever. Everybody's stress is different. Your stress as a 65-year-old retiree could be much higher than the 45-year-old CEO, full-time working mom, because perhaps she has better cortisol relief mechanisms that she uses. So don't compare your stress to somebody else's. Very much how we tell everybody, don't compare your fitness journey to someone else's. Same thing with this. So let's move into why menopause makes it worse. So we already talked about kind of how our body responds to things. We talked about the vicious cycle that happens: more belly fat, more stress, more frustration, more cravings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Just this vicious hamster wheel that we get caught in. So why does menopause make it worse? Perhaps you're like, this is the same stressor I've had since I was 28 years old. I don't understand like why things are changing now. I've been at the same job. I've had these kids for a long time. Like my life is just stressful. Well, that's because menopause layers in even more challenges. As we know, the biggest thing, and you've heard this probably 900 times at this point, our estrogen drops. Estrogen protects against belly fat. With less of it, fat storage shifts to our midsection. So even if you're doing everything the same and you don't feel as if your stress levels have gotten any higher over the last couple of years, unfortunately, your body is no longer being very protective of that for you. So you kind of are already at a disadvantage because the one thing that does protect you suddenly goes away. Also, muscle naturally declines as we age. Unless you strength train very regularly, we know that muscle is going to gradually decline. I believe off the top of my head, it's about a 10% decline each year, which can lower your metabolism. You also have probably either said this out loud or have heard people talk about this, saying that, my metabolism is just slowing down as I get older. It's just slowing down. It's just slowing down. Well, part of that is probably because we're not strength training, moving, and grooving as much as we were before. So if we don't have as much muscle on our body that's requiring our metabolism to be fired up, it's naturally going to lower itself down. Let's also talk about sleep issues. Probably the number one thing with anybody in perimenopause, menopause, or postmenopause. Night sweats, hot flashes, anxiety equals poor sleep, which raises your cortisol levels further. Think about those nights when you have your really poor sleep. Are you looking to eat some eggs and bacon and some fruit in the morning? No, you're like, give me a Starbucks triple espresso frappuccino. I don't even know if that's like a thing or not. And like a big blueberry muffin. What does that meal have? Zero protein, lots of sugar, lots of dopamine there. So you can see how even just when you start having these constant sleep issues throughout the night, it raises your cortisol, makes bad decisions the next day, gives you more anxiety, and the cycle continues on from there. Also, when we are in menopause, our hormonal changes makes our body less efficient at handling carbs, leading to easier fat storage. This is why a lot of women think to themselves like, well, let me try keto, let me try carnivore, let me try low carb, et cetera, et cetera. Hormonal changes will make your body a little bit less efficient in handling carbohydrates, but we just need to be smarter about it. So it's really not just calories in, calories out, which was kind of the mantra that you probably followed in your 20s and your 30s, or that you hear a lot of men follow. It's really hormonal, metabolic, and lifestyle driven at the same time. So let's talk about some coping strategies that can actually work. Here's where all of the magic happens. And if you've got a pen and paper, start jotting this down right now, because you can help your body fight back against stress fat. First up, let's talk about some really easy stress relief tools. Box breathing. I know you have probably also heard about this a ton. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. This really calms your nervous system very, very fast. Something that I like to do is if I'm laying in bed at night and I feel like my mind is just like going a million miles an hour, practice gratitude and then practice box breathing. You cannot be, it's like scientifically proven. There's a lot of research studies out there that you cannot be anxious when you're trying to practice gratitude at the same time. So flip the script, practice gratitude, practice box breathing at the same time. Also, just try walking outdoors. It lowers your cortisol, boosts your serotonin, gives you some vitamin D, triple win right there. Think about, and if you need sort of a refresher reminder of this, think about anytime you go outside. If you're how often are you actually like in a really bad mood when you're outside? I mean, I can't, think of many times that I'm like in a truly, truly, truly bad mood if I'm outside. And I do this with my kids all the time. If I feel like, all right, you know what, everybody needs a reset, we're just going to take a walk around the block real quick. Humans are designed to be out in the sun. We're designed to be outside. Sitting inside underneath artificial lights, not getting any type of just the natural sunlight and things that help lower our cortisol is not good for us. Try just getting outside and see what it does for your stress levels. The last thing we'll talk about for like stress relief tools is journaling. Again, practice gratitude, write down stress triggers before bed to clear your mind. Have a little notebook there. Maybe it's you just word vomit whatever it is that's bothering you about the day out. So that way you just are not holding onto it while you try to go to sleep. Let's talk about nutrition for hormone balance. The number one thing, I'm always going to say this, regardless of anything we do, is prioritize protein. You have to have this for stable blood sugar, for building lean muscle tissue, and for satiety's sake. Also add fiber in for gut health. Aim for 25 to 30 grams per day. That's also going to be very dependent on you and how your body tolerates fiber. And don't forget about your good omega-3 fats, salmons, walnuts, things like that to help fight inflammation. Inflammation is not just like, oh, I rolled my ankle and my ankle joint is inflamed now. Inflammation can be headaches, can be joint pain, can be sinus pressure, like literally what I'm dealing with right now. Sorry about that, by the way. Inflammation is not just, oh, I rolled my ankle and my ankle is inflamed. It can be very systemic. Perhaps the biggest takeaway point from this is to really focus in on strength training. Build muscle equals boost your metabolism, which leads to improving your insulin sensitivity. If you take anything away from this lecture that I'm doing today, it's that. Muscle is your metabolic armor for life, especially against belly fat. Tons of my clients that I work with have all gone from either like feeling like they need to spend hours and hours and hours on the treadmill, like my client I talked about previously, and we just switch in, 2 to 3 strength training sessions each week. I let them keep about 2 or 3 cardio sessions if they use that to help clear their mind a little bit, and their body completely transformed. Your body wants lean muscle tissue. It craves lean muscle tissue. It's very expensive for your body to have, so you have to work for it in order to have it. Point number 4. So just as a quick recap here, we talked about stress relief tools, nutrition for hormone balance, strength training. Part 4 is going to be sleep hygiene. I briefly mentioned this in the very beginning, that a lot of us have this really great morning routine, but we also don't have, at the flip side, we don't really have a good sleep routine. You probably also have heard this 900 times. No screens 30 to 60 minutes before bed. I know that's really, really difficult to do. If you're going to have some type of screen on, try using some blue light blocking glasses as well, just to stop triggering all of the release of that cortisol and dopamine from it. Really try for a cool, dark room. If you're going through hot flashes and stuff like that, the cooler, the better for you. Also, when your room is colder and darker, it puts us more in that circadian rhythm of it's nighttime now. Remember, for hundreds of thousands of years, humans lived outside and we didn't have artificial light the way that we do right now. So when we're inside, again, more reason to go outside for walks or whatever, our body doesn't get into a good circadian rhythm. It has no idea if it's day, night, whatever, because we have constant light around us. Try to start dimming the lights, cool, dark room. Your body's going to be like, oh, it's nighttime. I'm ready to fall asleep. You can also try some magnesium or herbal teas for relaxation too. Some lavender tea, something like that. If you need something like warm to sip on at night, any of those, or magnesium spray is really good as well. All of those can kind of help reset your body and bring it back into time for night. And the last one would be to stop over exercising. 2-a-day workouts, endless cardio, severe calorie cuts, all of that backfires. Your body sees it as a stress. Take it from somebody who has lived that life many, many times. And also, you kind of see some of the comments in here, people too, they're like, oh, I did too much and now I have to take the next couple of days off. More does not always equate better in certain situations. When you are doing your workouts, you should feel better when you finish them than when you started. We should prioritize strength training over cardio. We should make sure that we are working hard enough to elicit a certain response, but not overdoing it so that we can't do anything for the next couple of days. Okay, so as a review, here are our 5 sort of Strategies that work: stress relief tools, nutrition for hormone balance, strength training, sleep hygiene, and stop over exercising. So if we are going to put this all together, let's talk about kind of the big picture here. Belly fat isn't just about calories. It's about giving your body safety signals instead of constant alarm bells. I mentioned this in the beginning. We want our body to work with us instead of against us. Right now, as you're going through perimenopause or menopause or postmenopause, your body is very much fighting against you. And we're trying to keep doing and hammering it with things that we were doing beforehand, when our insides, our whole entire hormonal profile is like out the window at that point. We have to make sure that we are changing our approach in order to activate the proper responses in our body, especially to help decrease that belly fat. It's not just about calories, it's about giving your body safety signals instead of constant alarm bells. Manage your stress daily, even if it's in small doses. And nobody is saying that you have to like kind of go into this like, hippie life of like, woo, like nothing bothers me. I have no stress, whatever. Like that. I mean, if you can do that, that's great. Please teach me how to do that. But we need to make sure that we're just having stress coping mechanisms throughout the week. As I said before, you want to lift weights 2 to 3 times a week. If you're going 2 to 3 times a week, try to focus on full body strength training sessions each time. That way we are ensuring that we are eliciting the proper response for each muscle group throughout our body. Again, if you have questions about something like this is a great opportunity to hop on that book a call link on there and try to work with somebody to figure all of this out for you. Try to walk or do gentle cardio instead of punishing workouts. A HIIT workout, once or twice a week is like totally fine to do. But if that causes too much inflammation and too much stress triggering in your body, then we need to reevaluate that and come up with something that works for your body. The really difficult part of everything that you are probably going through right now is that your mind is telling you something different to do, but your body is asking you to do something different. So we need to work on getting both of those in sync together. Regardless of anything that you do, you should always eat a balanced whole foods diet without extreme dieting. Please do not feel like you need to drop your calories down to 1,000 calories, or that you can only, eat foods that are purple, or you have to, suffer through eating just nothing but chicken breasts, etc. Like all of that's just going to cause more stress hormones as well. Whole foods are the way to go. And then lastly, really prioritize sleep like it's your job, because your life honestly really depends on it. Poor sleep equals higher cortisol, equals less or equals worse judgment for the next day. Your sleep is where your body rests, recovers, and repairs. If you are not giving your body the opportunity to rest, recover, repair, it's just going to fight against you constantly. So doing these things consistently, and your hormones will start working with you instead of against you. In fact, I kind of almost want everybody just to like write that down somewhere and like post it on a place. Help my body work with me instead of against me. So anytime that you feel like you are going into a spot where you're like, oh, I'm going to overdo it, or I'm like reaching for these quick fixes, think to yourself, how do I get my body to work with me instead of against me? So as we close up, just a little bit of Q&A. I want to hear from you. What's one small thing you can start this week to lower your stress? Perhaps it's no social media until after lunchtime. Maybe it's prioritizing a walk. Maybe it's even just when you are drinking your coffee in the morning, you just stand outside for a little bit, get that sunshine on your face. Tell me what's one small thing you can start this week. So remember, your body isn't broken. We're just in a different stage of life right now. Stress hormones, menopause, and belly fat are all connected, but you do have the tools within this group and within yourself to help take back control. So if you have more questions on any of this, again, make sure you drop a comment in here. Myself or one of the other coaches will get to you as quickly as we can. If you really enjoyed this content, make sure that you stay tuned for the rest of the content that's coming at you for the rest of the week, where you can really take this stress management and incorporate it with workouts, nutrition, and lifestyle advice to sort of create this whole entire new plan for you going forward. So thank you very much for spending this time with me. Let's repeat after me. Make my body work with me instead of against me. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to learning more about some of your stress coping levels throughout the week and any questions that you have. Talk soon.